Today, we're diving into a complex narrative that reveals the intricate connection between constitutional law, global commerce, and economic uncertainty. Most of us interact with imported goods daily without understanding the deeper legal frameworks that govern their flow across borders. Imagine a story that connects seemingly unrelated global forces, World War I, emergency legislation, modern supply chain, and a small business survival. Picture a small business owner who suddenly owes 600,000 for a good sitting in the customs, unsure if those charges are even legal. Our guest today is Dr. Susan Stone from University of South Australia, brings unprecedented insights into how constitutional principles collide with emergency trade policy. The numbers tell a fascinating story. 90 countries targeted with tariff overnight, 50% penalties on European goods, 145 rates that could eliminate entire trade relationship, and a potential GDP cuts of 0.8%. This isn't just a trade story, it's a narrative about how emergency powers designed for national crisis reshape our understanding of commerce and constitutional limits. From Liberation Day proclamation to Supreme Court appeals, from customs warehouses to corporate boardrooms, we see how legal uncertainty ripple across continent. We'll explore how seemingly separate words, constitutional law, global supply chain, business investment decision are deeply interconnected. Stay with us as we unravel this compelling narrative of power, precedent, and economic consequence. Dr. Susan Stone, the Credit Union SA Chair of Economics, University of South Australia. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Susan.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Welcome back again. So we have plenty, a lot of happening right now on either in the US and also in Australia. Let's start with the big picture here. When President US President Donald Trump evoked emergency powers to slap tariffs on 90 countries, calling it Liberation Day, what was the economic logic behind using national emergency framework for what's essential a trade dispute?
The International Emergencies Economic Powers Act, which is the one he used, and they call it IEPA for short, is actually used for national emergency situations to put some kind of economic constraints on other countries. So in the past, it's been used mainly to apply sanctions. So the Russian sanctions or sanctions on certain terrorist groups to stop financial dealings. So there's been financial moves as well as economic sanctions under this act. Trump declared that the fentanyl crisis, the fentanyl drugs that are rampant in the US, he has declared that a national emergency. So he's accused China, Mexico, and Canada of not doing enough to stop these drugs. So he said, we won't put sanctions, we're going to put tariffs on them for this. In the other cases of the other countries, he cited the trade deficit, the deficit in goods that the US has, even though he did apply it to all countries. He's cited that this trade deficit is a national emergency, and therefore he has to completely restructure the trade system in order to get rid of the trade deficit. And so that was the justification for the Liberation Day tariffs, as he called them.
This number aren't small potatoes we're talking about. 10% tariff on most country, 50% on EU, and then now, just overnight, you want to double up 50% on steel tariff as well. Can you walk us
Yeah.
through what those percentage actually means in real dollars flowing through the global economy?
Oh, well, it would be, and he also had Chinese tariffs on Chinese goods up to 145% at one stage, which would pretty much eliminate trade between China and the US. The 50% tariffs, the EU is the number two trade partner of the US. It's actually, in some goods, it's number one. It's big on pharmaceuticals. It's big on a lot of services, which haven't really come into the conversation, but they probably will. So it would do a great deal of damage. There's been all kinds of estimations about what it will do to the U.S. economy, cutting off up to 0.8% of GDP in some estimates. So these are substantial effects. But the difference between these across the board tariffs that he applied on Liberation Day under IEEPA, these are different than the steel and aluminium tariffs. Steel and aluminium tariffs, as well as tariffs that were put on earlier on washing machines and solar panels, as well as many of the original tariffs on China were put in place under a different process than IEEPA. And those tariffs are seen to be legal because the IEEPA tariffs were rejected because the statute never says anything about tariffs. It says sanctions, it says other economic things, but it doesn't say tariffs. And tariffs are supposed to be they are the purview of Congress. So that's why they said he acted illegally. He overstretched his authority by imposing tariffs under IEEPA. But the other tariffs, the steel and aluminium tariffs that he's recently, there's 25% now. He says he wants to raise it to 50. Those are under a different process. That's a couple of different legislative processes that have gone through legally, and there's no real legal challenge to those tariffs per se. So they will